How long do you have to wait to try to re-interrogate a person that has invoked their rights under Miranda? Hey guys, my name is Anthony Bandiero, bringing a Roadside Chat, and this one is a Roadside Chat from the road. I know you haven't seen that in a while. I just been making it mostly from the studio, but this time I am in Maryland, outside of Maryland in Charles County. Thank you, Charles County, for hosting us. We actually just launched a brand new class called K9 Case Law, and that's a new class, and so let's get down to business. All right, so this cop, I'm reading from a little laptop here. So this officer is from Wyoming. It says, look, in one of your videos, you talk about a required cooling off period when somebody invokes their right to an attorney or their right to remain silent. It's not clear to me when an officer can question a suspect for an unrelated crime when that suspect has been arrested and they are still in jail or prison. When does Miranda-like custody end? Do you have to wait 14 days from the time they, invoked, or do you have to wait from them been released? Okay, let's establish some basics here. Basic number one. If you read Miranda to somebody and they invoke, they are off limits for any crime because Miranda is not crime specific. There are two types of invocations. There's silence and there's attorney. If they invoke the right to silence, they are off for a reasonable amount of period. I call this a cooling off period. The Supreme Court requires you to scrupulously honor their invocation. In one Supreme Court case, they held that 2 hours was sufficient. Is there a 2 hour rule? Does it have to be 2 hours? The answer is no. They just said under the facts of that case, 2 hours is fine. I've seen cases where less, I've seen more. Okay. So, and then the other one is if they invoke the right to counsel, they're off limit for 14 days. Okay. That is a very, very strict rule by the Supreme Court. So look, how long do you have to wait? You have to wait whether it's silence, a cooling off period, or it's an attorney, 14 days post Miranda custody. And that's what the cop is getting here, is getting the point of the question is, Anthony, what about when they're in jail? What about when they're in prison? Are they in custody, and therefore we don't have, when can we talk to them again? Well, when it comes to jail and prison, obviously there's differences, right? If the person is just being in jail, if they're just in jail and they are, waiting for a hearing or something like that, the best view the best view is that they are in Miranda arrest-like custody. That's not their normal habitat. They're not really thinking they're going to be there for a while and so forth. Prison is easy. If they're in prison and they are sentenced, that is their home. Is that where they would like to have their domicile? No. But under the law, that is their home. So once they're in prison or they've been sentenced, they are out of Miranda-like custody. It is the same thing with being sentenced to jail. Once they are sentenced to jail, they're no longer in arrest-like custody. Now, let's look at the so what here. What do we do? Okay, well, if the person invokes their right to silence, you do not have to wait 14 days. You do not have to wait for them to be released to try to reapproach them, because there is no 14-day rule. It's just that you scrupulously honor their invocation, their right to silence. So if you Mirandize somebody and they're like, I don't want to talk to you, and you want to talk to them about a completely different crime, well, just honor their invocation and come back later, 2 hours later, the next morning, and so forth. So there's that. Okay, they don't have to be released, whether in the jail, prison, whatever. Okay, there's no requirement there. The problem comes up with the attorney, because the Supreme Court said that you have to wait 14 days post-custody. Well, the best view that I think we have here, until we get something more definitive by the U.S. Supreme Court, is that if they are just being held in a jail temporarily while they're being processed and so forth, wait till they are released from that jail. Then count 14 days. At the same time, if they are in that jail and that jail is turned into their home because they cannot make bail, that's basically their domicile, then wait 14 days after that point. because otherwise they're going to be off limits for potentially a very long time until they get sentenced. That's not the better view. The better view is that where are they living? Like, where do they, like, indefinitely, right? Well, if they are in jail because they can't post bond and so forth, and they're being held for a serious crime, then I think the better view is that we start the clock from there. But remember, we are talking about unrelated crimes. If the person's in jail for robbery and you want to talk to them about the robbery, you're going to have a problem because they'll likely have an attorney assigned to them for that robbery case. You cannot bypass the attorney and say, I'm going to talk to your client without your permission. That's not how that works. So if you want to talk to them about a completely unrelated case, let's say that they're implicated in a murder, but the robbery and the murder are not interrelated, they're totally different events, the attorney clearly does not represent them on the murder because he hasn't been charged, you can seek a waiver of their rights for the murder investigation. The key is, do not talk to them about the robbery where they have a lawyer assigned. That's not on the table, right? Talk to them about unrelated and uncharged crimes as long as you satisfy the Miranda reinitiating rules, which is, if it's for silence, just wait a reasonable amount of time, 2 hours, 1 night, whatever. If it's for attorney, wait 14 days when they're in their, when they've been released from Miranda custody, which I wish I had a black and white case for you right now. It's kind of all over the place. So again, my advice is that if they are in jail indefinitely for their case, that's probably their home. Otherwise, let them leave and then count 14 days. I hope this has helped. Again, we're trying to get back into the mix with these roadside chats. Keep the questions coming. And until the next time, my friends, stay safe, and hopefully you'll hit like, subscribe, and so forth. All right? All right.